Hello children, welcome to English with Kashish. Yes, I hope you are all enjoying my stories, my chapters, everything. I'm doing all the question answers also for you. Anything you need more to be added, please do let me know. Yes, and I hope it's helping you in a lot of manner. Go through my videos and come out with flying colors. Today, very exciting and interesting poem we're going to do. This is the first poem of your English language textbook. Grandma climbs a tree. Have you ever imagined your grandma climbing a tree? What do we have of grandparents? They are old people. So what do we picture them doing? We picture them doing sitting in one place. They read a book, they read the newspaper, or they pray, or they watch TV, or they watch a lot of YouTube videos. Correct? But have you ever imagined a grandma climbing a tree? Yes, our poet has. He imagines a lot of lovely things about his families. It is none other than Ruskin Bond. Let us talk about the author, a poet first. Okay, so Ruskin Bond is an Indian author of the British descent. He lives with his adopted family in Landore, Missouri, in India. Yes, he does live in India. He is now 85-years old. But I think all of you should read his books. They are so wonderful. Ruskin Bond is one of India's most loved children's writer. I think when children start reading, these books are the first to read. His books are so easy to understand that you can develop the habit of reading by reading his books. In his writing career spanning over 6 decades, he has written over 500 short stories and novels. His poem, Grandma Climbs a Tree, portrays Ruskin Bond's love for his family. How he loves his family unconditionally. He doesn't care what they want, but whatever they want, he wants to fulfill their needs. Grandma is a metaphor for free will. Whatever she wants to do, she will do. She is not like all other grandmas. And through her projection, Ruskin Bond breaks the myth that women and old people cannot climb trees. Why should an old woman not climb a tree? No, they can. And if they love to and they have the skill, of course they can. They can do anything. So let's read the poem first and then go to line-by-line explanation. Grandma climbs a tree. My grandmother was a genius. You'd like to know why? Because she could climb a tree, spreading or high. She'd be up their branches in a trice. And mind you, when last she climbed a tree, she was 62, absolutely. Ever since childhood, she'd had this gift for being happier in a tree more than a lift. And though as years went by, she would be told that climbing trees should stop when one grew old, and that growing old should be gone about gracefully. She'd laugh and say, well, I'll grow disgracefully. I can do it better. And we had to agree, for in all the garden there wasn't a tree she hadn't been up at one time or another, having learned to climb from a loving brother when she was 6. But it was feared by all that one day she'd have a terrible fall. The outcome actually was different. While we were in town, she climbed a tree and couldn't come down. After the rescue, the doctor took Granny's temperature and said, I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. We sighed in relief and tucked her up well. Poor Granny, for her, it was like a brief season in hell, confined to her bedroom, while every breeze whispered of summer and dancing leaves. But she had held her peace till she felt stronger. Then she sat up and said, I'll lie here no longer. And she called for my father and told him undaunted that a house in a treetop was what she now wanted. My dad knew his duties. He said, that's all right. You'll have what you want, dear. I'll start work tonight. With my expert assistance, he soon finished the chore. made her a tree house with windows and a door. So Granny moved up, and now every day I climb to her room with glasses and tray. She sits there in a state and drinks sherry with me, upholding her right to reside in a tree. I don't think you need me here, because the poem itself is so well explained. You can do it yourself. Such a beautifully written poem. But still, I'll explain you line by line. Let us start. Okay. So my grandmother was a genius. You'd like to know why? Now, everyone is a genius. You think a grandma can be genius too? Now, genius doesn't mean genius only in studies. If you're good only in studies, you can be a genius in many other things. You can be a genius in playing football or swimming. Now, this particular grandma here was also a genius, but in climbing trees. Yes, because she could climb trees. Now, you can also climb tree, but this particular grandma could climb any tree. Have you seen a mango tree? How does a mango tree look? It is big, spread with lot of branches all around, and the branches come a little down. So you can hold the branches and go up, because it's a spreading tree. Now imagine a coconut tree. How is a coconut tree? It's high up, isn't it? So it is high up. How do you climb a coconut tree? She could climb that too. Wasn't that wonderful? Isn't this a very different grandma? I like this grandma a lot. She'd be up their branches in a trice, and mind you. Now what is trice? Trice is very, very quickly. Now she was such an expert because she was practicing from a long time, isn't it? When you practice something for a long time, you become an expert in that. So she also could actually climb any tree very, very quickly. And mind you for what? When last she climbed a tree, she was 62. Oh my God, that is, you can't even imagine a 62-year-old lady climbing a tree, that too very quickly, and that too any kind of tree. Wow, that is amazing. Ever since childhood, she'd had this gift. Now what was the gift? A gift for her was for being happier in a tree than a lift. Now you've seen the lift. Have you gone in the lift before? It goes up, you feel happy, isn't it? When you go up, you can actually see the world from top, everything down. Now this grandma was more happy to go up the tree and look at the world down, and not the lift. So she had the gift of being happier on a tree than a lift. And though as years went by, she would be told that climbing trees should stop when you grow old. Now everyone told her. Now who is everyone here? Anyone who looked at her. Everyone told her, now you're growing old. Does it look nice that you climb a tree? Come on, when you grow old, you have to stop certain things. Like how food habits, when you grow old and you're not feeling well, you have to stop eating oily food or with more salt, correct? But they told this grandma to stop growing on the trees. Oh my God, but what did she do? Did she stop? And that growing old should be done about gracefully. She'd laugh and say, well, I'll grow disgracefully. Opposites, gracefully and disgracefully. Now, how do you imagine old people? Graceful. With lot of, when you see an old person, what do you feel? You respect them. No? Suddenly that respect comes. That means they are graceful. This grandma wanted to live her life the way she wanted. She said, it's okay, I'm not grateful. No problem. I want to be disgraceful because I like being like that. She was happy being like that. And she would laugh and say this to everyone, I'll grow disgracefully. I can do it better. And we had to agree. She said, rather than sitting quietly in a place and gracefully getting old, I want to enjoy my life, climb all the trees. It's okay if it's disgraceful. No problem. I can be disgraceful better. And we all had to agree to that. Who is we? The poet and the family. For in all the garden there wasn't a tree in her entire courtyard, in their entire garden. There was not even one tree which she hadn't been up to. She had actually climbed every single tree of the garden at one time or another. That much she was fond of climbing trees, and every day she would go and capture one tree and climb it up. She was an expert in that anyways. Having learned to climb from a loving brother, now all of you have your brothers and sisters, and we all tend to learn something from them, right? Sometimes someone will take them for swimming and they will learn swimming together, or even a game of carom board. So you learn from your siblings. So this is what her grandmom also learned from her brother when she was only 6. She was a baby of 6-year-old when she started climbing trees with her brother. But it was feared by all that one day she'd have a terrible fall. But whenever she used to climb any tree, everyone used to get scared. They used to say, oh my God, she might fall. And especially when she grew older, everyone used to think, now if she falls, she'll get hurt very badly. If you're a baby, you fall, you'll get recovered faster, right? But when you grow old, it is very difficult for you to recover. You'll have back pain, you'll have some other problem. So it's difficult. So everyone used to get scared. But remember one thing, whenever you're learning something new, it's okay to fall. If you're cycling and if you fall, it's okay. You might get hurt a little, but don't stop there. Come back and cycle again. No problem. Okay, but for an old person to fall is a problem. The outcome was different while we were in town. But outcome, what is outcome? Underline outcome in your textbook also. Outcome is what actually happened. Now she was very happy climbing trees, but when all of them were in town, something happened. It was very bad. She climbed a tree and couldn't come down. Now she went up the tree, she sat there and she got scared. She couldn't come down. Now that's scary. What happened? Why she couldn't come down? Let's see what happens after the rescue. What is rescue? When you are in a dangerous situation and someone comes and saves you. That is rescue. After they all came and got grandma down, what did they do? The doctor took granny's temperature. Temperature means checking the fever. Doctor puts a thermometer in your mouth or here to check your fever. Now in these times, we are checking our fever a lot more often, right? So they also checked grandma's temperature and they found out that she had fever. I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. Now doctor said, for 1 week, you have to lie down still. You have to take rest. You can't move around. It has to be a quiet week. No more climbing trees, no more running around, no more jumping for the grandma. We sighed with relief. What is sighed? Like this, you do know, you are thankful or you are just taking a deep breath. And they sighed with relief. Why with relief? Grandma is sick, and why are they happy about it? Because at least for 1 week she will not climb a tree. So they were happy that at least 1 week she'll take rest. And tucked her up well. We made her very, very comfortable in her bed, gave her a nice blanket and gave her a cup of soup so she can sit in one place. Poor granny. But who was happy? Was she happy? The family was happy, but granny was not happy at all. For her, it was like a brief season in hell. She liked going outside. She loved climbing the trees. She was happy. She enjoyed it. For her to sit in a bed for 1 week was like hell. What is hell? Hell is a bad place, right? Where you are hitting someone or you have enemies. So she felt like that as if she was in a hell and not in a nice place. Confined to her bedroom, while every breeze, now she would look out of the windows and she would see the wind flowing. Breeze is wind. What did the wind come and tell her? While every breeze whispered. What is whispered? Whispered is talking softly. Soft winds would come inside and they would say, it is summer, and dancing leaves would come down. So outside the window, she would always look that the leaves are falling and the wind is blowing. But she had held her peace till she felt stronger. Held her peace is she kept quiet. For some time, for 1 week, she kept quiet. She held her peace. She was not talking to anyone too much till she was stronger, till she felt good about it. But what did she do? Then she sat up and said, what did she say? I lie here no longer. Enough. Now I am not going to lie here any longer. I am done with it. Now I am feeling strong. Now what she wants to do? What is she going to do now? She's going to request them to climb the tree again? Oh my God, no, that's not going to happen. And she called for my father. Who is my father? The poet's father. She called him, come here fast, I want to tell you something. And told him, undaunted, underline undaunted. What does undaunted mean? It means without any hesitation, without even thinking twice, without even saying anything. Now you come from school, you're very hungry. What do you come and tell? Mama, I'm hungry, I want food. Without any hesitation, you've not even seen what your mama is doing. You go and tell her, I am hungry. Correct? So without any hesitation, undaunted, you told her, I want food. So same like that, grandma is also telling poet's father that a house in a treetop was what she now wanted. She wanted a small little house for herself on a tree. That's great. Have you seen a treetop before? It's like a small house which you build in between a big massive tree. You can climb up and actually stay there. It's so beautiful. My dad knew his duties. As a son, he knew that if mama's told me something, I will do it very happily, right? He said, oh, that's all right, mama, no problem. Your wish is my command. You'll have what you want. Dear, I'll start work tonight. So that very night, Papa started working because his mama asked for something for a treetop. So he gathered everything and he started to work on it. With my expert assistance. Whose assistance? The poet's assistance. What is assistance? Who is assisting whom here? Now have you seen a big officer? He always has a assistant. What does the assistant do? He helps the officer. So here the poet is helping his father. So he is giving assistance to his father. He soon finished the chore. What is chore? Chore is the task, the work that was given to him. Your household chore. Do you help your mama in everyday household chores that are making your bed, filling the water bottles, cleaning up the beds? Do you do all those chores? You should do it. You're home, you should learn to do it. He made her tree house with windows and a door. Such a beautiful tree house he made for his mama. So Granny moved up, and now every day I is the poet and the poet's father, go to her room with glasses and tray. So now she was very happy. She went up to her treetop house, and every day they would take a glass and tray and go up. She sits there in state and drinks sherry with me. In state means happily in one position. She's so happy and comfortable there, and she drinks sherry with me. What is sherry? Underline sherry and upholding in this. Sherry is a yellow or brown colored wine. Upholding her right to reside in a tree. Upholding means making clear to the world. Now she's told the world that I no longer need to climb the tree. I have made my own tree house. I don't need to make it clear to anyone. I am happy. Upholding her right. She actually is standing by her right that I love trees and I am living on a treetop and I reside in a tree. I hope you love this poem. And let all your grandparents do what they want to do. Whatever they like in life, they want to travel the world. Help them to achieve whatever they want. Help them to let their dreams come true. Now we will start our question answers. Question number 1 is, which all the questions are on page number 20. The speaker in the poem does not call his grandmother childish. What does he call his grandmother? And why does he consider her to be that? Okay, yes. The speaker in the poem does not call his grandmother childish. According to him, she was a genius because she could climb a tree. Whether the tree was high or big and spreading, she would skillful and she can climb it very quickly. She could climb the tree tireless even at the age of 62. She had this gift and enjoying it, though it was unusual. It is an unusual gift, right? But she enjoyed it. So the speaker considered her to be a genius. Question number 2. Grandma had been in the habit of climbing trees for a very, very long period. Identify the lines that suggest that. Yes. Ever since childhood, ever since she was a baby, she had this gift. This line suggests that the grandma had been in the habit of climbing trees for a very long time. Right? Ever since childhood, remember, from the age of 6 with her brother? Yes, so that is a very long time. Look at the lines 7 and 8. She would be told. Who do you think would tell her so? She would be told. Now, who is telling her not to do this? I think that the well-wishers, family members or neighbors would tell her so. Question 4. Do you find anything odd in the reply given by the grandma? The grandma replied, right? If so, why do you think it is odd? Why do you think it is odd? We can't say that grandma's reply is odd. We can instead say that her reply shows her bohemian. Bohemian is having irregular habits and showing disregard for social conventions spirit. It's a bohemian spirit. It's a very different kind of spirit. They don't care about whatever everyone says, but they enjoy what they do. She boldly declares that if climbing trees in old age is considered disgraceful, she would choose to be disgraceful because she likes doing that. She likes living her life the way she wants to. Her reply shows her freedom of spirit, a complete bohemian spirit. Question 5. Others had feared that Granny would fall from a tree one day or the other. Did this actually happen or did something else happen? Yes, it actually happened. One day when others were in town, she had a terrible fall. But the effect of this was the opposite. Instead of fearing, the grandma climbed the tree and made up her mind that she wouldn't come down. She actually went up the tree and someone had to come and rescue her. Question 6. What had the doctor recommended? What did the doctor say after she had a fall? What was the reaction of the kids to this advice? The doctor recommended her to stay on the bed for a week. The kids sighed with relief and tucked her up well to the bed. It means the kids looked after her and wished that she would stay in the bed and stay out of the trouble for some time. Question number 7. Quote the lines which suggest how wholeheartedly Granny enjoyed climbing the tree. The lines which suggest that Granny wholeheartedly enjoyed climbing a tree were: when last the climbed a tree, she was 62. Till a very long age of 62, she was climbing the tree. For being happier in a tree than in a lift. She was more happier to be on the top of the tree than being inside the lift because lift is closed and confined. She climbed a tree and couldn't come down. She was so in love with the tree that after she fell also, she went up on the tree only and she didn't want to come down. So that means she enjoyed climbing trees so much. My dad knew his duties. What did he think his duty was? Question number 8. This is: the speaker's dad knew his duties, mean he agreed to fulfill his mother's desire immediately because he was obedient and loved his mother very, very much. Question number 9. Look at the picture given below the title. Picture given below the title, after just your title starts, there is a tree picture with a tree top given. You can see the picture. Quote the lines that might have guided the artist to draw this. Why did artist draw that? The lines that might have guided the artist to draw are: made her a tree house with windows and door. It is the picture of a tree house, right? So these particular lines. So Granny moved up because he's made steps also. She sits there in state, upholding her right to reside in a tree. So that's why he's made a tree top. Yes. Let's go to the next set of questions now. Read and appreciate. This is the A part of it, the second part. Growing old gracefully is an expression used in the poem. Now you have to discuss whether what the grandma was doing that was graceful or it was not. Okay? You can even discuss with your friends in your class, make them your partner and then discuss, or you can even think about it alone because you're home. Now what is being graceful and what is not being graceful is subjective, depends on the person themselves. According to traditional ideas, girls are supposed to be graceful and they are not supposed to climb trees in a manly or disgraceful manner. They are supposed to maintain their respect. But these ideas needn't be taken as the ultimate truth. Grandma did what her heart prompted her to do. And while doing what she did not hurt anyone. She was not troubling anyone, right, for doing that. She liked climbing trees and she used to do that. So we will not be fair in our judgment of her action if we consider it disgraceful. We are not right by saying it is disgraceful. It is her wish, she likes to do it and she can do whatever she wants. The third part of A, both the narrator, speaker in the poem, and his father were very considerate towards grandma. Substantiate the statement with textual support. That means explain the statement in terms of writing it. The narrator admires his grandma and calls her a genius, right? The poet's father tells that the grandma is a genius. When she boldly chooses to be disgraceful, he readily supports her. When she says, I'm happy to be disgraceful, he supports her. He doesn't say that, no, this is not right, you shouldn't be climbing trees. When the doctor advises rest for grandma, he lovingly tucks her up in the bed. However, he feels sorry for grandma as he knows that being confined to bed is torture for her. All these details show how much the narrator loves his grandma. His father too is very equally considerate. When grandma demands a tree house on the treetop, he readily agrees and builds one on the treetop with the help of his son. After the house is built, he every day climbs up the tree to give grandma company over a glass of wine. That's such a beautiful thing, right? I think every son loves his mother. Question B, set of B questions, the number 1. Have a close look at the rhyming scheme. There is a rhyming scheme that is following in the whole poem. Write at least 5 pairs of rhyming words. That is, what is rhyming word? Which rhymes? Said, bed. Let's see more. Gift, lift, told, old, agree, tree, all, fall, right, tonight. So these are the 5 rhyming words. B set, second part. It was like a brief season. Name the figure of speech in the sentence. What are the 2 things compared to and explain. The figure of speech is a simile. Underline this, it is simile. The granny was confined in her bedroom and tucked up to her bed. It is compared to a brief season in hell. Okay, it is compared. When something is compared, it is called a simile. The B questions again, the third part. For being happier in a tree than in a lift, what is suggested through this line? Exchange your views with your partner. Here, the poet suggested or explained that the granny enjoyed to sit on a treetop and she felt very uncomfortable and sad if she was in a lift. He has compared a tree situation and a lift situation here. The fourth part of B. There was not a tree she hadn't been up is an expression. Write the above sentence without using not. Note, the meaning should be same. Now here we have used there was not a tree. Okay, now we don't have to use not. Give some more examples from outside the text to illustrate the effective use of double negatives. This statement, there was not a tree she hadn't been up, can also be said as there were no trees left that grandma hadn't climbed. Okay. Now we are here in the summary of the poem. I hope you understood the whole poem. It's a very easy and lot of expressions into it. So we will read the summary. Grandma Climbs a Tree is a poem written by Ruskin Bond. Remember, very, very important, Ruskin Bond. The Indian Council has recognized him as the pioneer of the growth of children's literature in India. He is one of the most important authors in terms of children's literature. He has written more than 30 books for children. In this poem, we can see Bond's great ability to enjoy unusual events and activities. Commonly, unusual things are seeds for humor. Now, this kind of thing, you can't imagine an old person climbing a tree. What does that do? It's an unusual thing. You have never seen it, and it becomes a humor also. Climbing a Tree by Grandma is one of the unusual anecdotes. This is the poem, as the title suggests, how an old woman keeps the childish habits and desires. The speaker here explained his grandma's habit. He called her genius. Why he called her genius? Because she could climb a tree in such an old age. The tree may be high or spreading, she would love to climb. Even at the age of 62, she climbed a tree. She had the capacity of climbing the tree very, very quickly. She had this skill. She is fond of climbing a tree since her childhood. She had this gift and she was enjoying that a lot. She feels happy to climb a tree. She had more pleasure in a tree than in a lift. As years went on and Grandma became old and her well-wisher suggested that she must stop climbing trees. Whenever the people grow old, they can give up children's deeds and lead a very graceful life. But Grandma laughed and said that she will grow disgracefully. She doesn't care what is in it, but she can assure that she can do it better. Others would agree to her. What can she do in a better way? Luckily, there was no tree in their garden. Grandma learned to climb a tree from her loving brother when she was 6 years old. All old people feared that if she fell off the tree one day, some danger would happen to her. This is the fear of her beloveds. Once the family members were out of town, Grandma had a terrible fall. How did it happen? We don't know. But the result was utterly, completely very different. Instead of a threat, she actually climbed the tree and she did not come down. She went onto the tree and she sat. After the rescue, the doctor suggested that she had to take complete bed rest for 1 whole week. There was no major harm to her actually. Family members sighed with relief. They were very happy. When Grandma was on the bed, it was like a little hell for her. Her bedroom is like a prison and she felt that she is imprisoned in her room. During her rest period, when she was in her room, she can feel the breeze and whisper of dancing leaves in the summer. This is a very beautiful expression. Grandma peacefully waited till she became stronger. Afterwards, she said to her son that she could not lie on that bed any longer, and without hesitating, she ordered that she wanted a house on the tree top. Her son was obedient to his mother and obeyed her order. Immediately, he started the work with the help of his son, who was an expert himself. They finished their work and made her a little beautiful house on the treetop. The house had windows and a door. After that, Grandma lived in that house and her grandson could climb the tree every day to give glass and tray. The grandson supplied food and wine to her. She sits there and eats and drinks with her grandson like she can claim her right to live on a tree, and she lived happily ever after on that treetop. That was like heaven. That was like paradise for her. And this is what she always wanted. So we finished Grandma Climbs a Tree. Okay. So all of you, let your grandparents do what they want. Let them enjoy themselves. With this note, I have finished another beautiful poem. I'll see you next time with another chapter or a poem. Bye-bye. Kashish Chugh signing out.